You read the indictment. Let me start there, Michael.
Well, let's also start with the fact that this is now the first president to hold two distinguished honors, right? He was federally indicted for a state charge and now a federal charge as well. I have to agree with Congresswoman Dean. It is a very, very well-written, and it's an easy indictment to read. I mean, anybody can read it. You don't need to be a lawyer. It tells a story. And the story is so damning, forgetting about Donald Trump, it's damning to America. And something else that Congresswoman Dean brought up about Donald Trump and in the indictment, 500 documents. That's only, Rev, because you know Donald as well for many, many years. I mean, we go back to 99. You know him a long time. That's only the 500 documents that they know of.
That's right.
I've said on your show a long time ago, they need to play like a Where's Waldo game. And you need to go to every single location that Donald has been to, his kids' houses, his golf courses, wherever he went. You need to follow the Donald trail, because I am certain, knowing what he does, that there must be files someplace over there.
Wow. You know, damning photos show Trump stored boxes of some of the nation's highest national security secrets in his Mar-a-Lago bathroom, next to a toilet and a shower. Now, from your experience, you as lawyer, you were right there with him all the time. Has Trump always been this careless with sensitive material?
Well, remember, when I was with Donald, it was as executive vice president of the Trump Organization and special counsel to Donald. We didn't have this type of documentation at the Trump office over on Fifth Avenue or anywhere for that matter. And in fact, Donald very rarely touched paper. He signed everything, all the checks, but he rarely touched any paper. Whatever paper he would have would go from his desk to somebody else's. And then it would go, say, for example, anything with finance would go to Alan Weisselberg for filing.
Right. Now, you said moments ago investigators should be looking everywhere. Trump has been, and everyone he has met with since leaving the White House. But based on your experience with Trump, your own experience, do you think there could be more damaging revelations to come?
Oh, I'm certain of it. It's the same way I said on this show a year ago. And then 6 months ago, when they raided Mar-a-Lago, I said, that's not where the only documents are. On top of that, I believe that there will be revelations to come that deal with Jared Kushner and his unholy relationship with the Saudi Arabian government, with Mohammed bin Salman. There is no way in the world that MBS gave Jared, who is an unqualified hedge funder, $2 billion simply because he likes him. There is no doubt in my mind. And we also know that some of the documents that he talked about dealt with Iran. And we also are very aware of the concern that Saudi Arabia has had with Iranian aggression towards them. So who knows what this is going to reveal? And I will tell you, knowing Donald as well as I do, and welcome to the Thrown Under the Bus Club, I wouldn't be shocked to see Donald throwing Jared under the bus when it comes time in order to save his own hide.
So you think that the possibility is that if they go deep and they find something on Jared Kushner, his own son-in-law, who got $2 billion from the Saudis, that Trump himself may give up Jared if he felt that it would help somehow with his situation?
Donald would give up anybody in order to protect himself. There's no doubt about that one. He is, in his mind, the single most important person in the whole wide world.
Now, these documents, people need to understand, they really contain sensitive national security secrets regarding the defense and weaponry. In the indictment, prosecutors laid out an instance where Trump shared the classified intelligence of unauthorized individuals in July of 2021 during a sit-down with an author and a publisher for an upcoming book on his presidency. Why do you think Trump was holding on to all these materials, knowing the risks were involved? I mean, you're talking about sensitive intelligence here.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that he believes that this can provide him with some form of a benefit. I've even said it on your show, Nicole Wallace's show, and Ari's show. I believe he considered it to be almost like a get-out-of-jail-free card, that you really want to play with me? I have copies of all of this, and if you indict me and if you intend to prosecute me and incarcerate me, I will ensure that all of our adversaries have copies of all of these sensitive documents, and there's no way that you can stop it. I believe he's using it to hold America hostage. I really do. And I'm not saying it to be hyperbolic. Donald Trump will rather burn this country down to the ground than to lose another election, but more importantly, to also lose his freedom.
Let me ask you this. We're out of time. I have to let you go, but I have to ask you this. When you started first getting into the legal difficulties out of your relationship with Donald, you called me, we met, you wanted me to pray for you and your family. When you went away, I talked with your son and family.
And I thank you for it every day.
I read this call to action Trump made, which to me was very dangerous. Do you feel that danger? I know you get a lot of death threats. Has there been any concern in this climate with his call to action for you and others that have stood up against him?
Oh, absolutely. Unfortunately, for those of us that have stood truth to power, what ends up happening is you also get the repercussion of what Donald does. And he is calling on his MAGAs in order to rally. Now, you remember when he was indicted in New York, it failed, and it failed miserably. There was more press there than there were MAGAs. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen in Florida. I don't think it's going to be nearly as big as what he wants, simply because most of the Oath Keepers or the Proud Boys are already incarcerated, or they already have seen the repercussions by doing Donald's bidding. So anyone that does actually go there needs to have their head examined and realize that Donald, again, cares for only one person. But yes, right after this indictment, right after the one from New York, the actions of the MAGA faithful, most of them are just texting tough guys, but all you need is one stupid. And that's the danger. It's why I asked you to pray for me again when you first walked in.
Yeah, you did ask me that tonight. That's why I asked you about the increase.
Well, you've kept me safe so far, so.